So today I'm introducing a new award, the eCenter Champion. This award not only highlights a distinguished career, but also highlights someone who has made an incredible holistic contribution to the center. It is my absolute delight to highlight Dr. Bob Phillips as our inaugural inductee. Dr. Phillips is a managing partner and CTO at 3Edge Asset Management. He's a member of the investment committee and responsible for all of the firm's operations, including the investment modeling platforms. Prior to 3Edge, Bob was acting CTO at HBX, the Harvard Business School online education platform, Senior Vice President at Windhaven Investment Management, Executive Vice President and CTO at Windward Investment Management, and Senior Vice President at Fidelity Investments, where he was responsible for managing all the electronic platforms, including redesigning Net Benefits, which provides online services for more than 13 million benefit plan participants. He has helped start and grow several other entrepreneurial ventures, including Turnright Advice Solutions, What If I Financial, iCAD, and Concentra. In fact, it was during Bob's time founding Turnright that we first met. I immediately knew that he was a kind and thoughtful person and so very smart. Bob stood out for another reason, his eagerness to help, contributing to the nonprofit I worked for at the time. In my role here at the eCenter, I've gotten to know Bob quite well. Not only is Bob, as of this morning, the former chair of the UNH Foundation Board, he is also chair of the eCenter Advisory Task Force, and so much more. It is in these roles that Bob has been and continues to be our champion. His vision is expressed through collaboration across the university, a tireless advocate, not just for the eCenter itself, but for our students and their future. The incredible amount of time that Bob has put into this university, its colleges, the eCenter, is a testament to his love for them. Frankly, I'm not sure how you find the time, but if you can manage to patent that and add it to your existing patent portfolio, I'm sure there's a few people here interested in investing. During our roundtable chat today, it may have seemed like just a few hours in a good conversation with interesting students. However, these small moments in time, seemingly inconsequential, are in fact pivotal. Looking back over time, we will see how moments like these have changed our students' lives forever. If you're into multiversal theory and branches of time, you'll realize that there's a lot of split branches in time right now. Put another way, and please excuse my simple application of astrophysics, imagine the university as a star. Its massive gravity providing us a solar system. Our students inside the star are the common elements, perhaps hydrogen and helium. The intense gravity of the university is causing life-changing good collisions for our student elements. Fission is happening here. Elements are fused and they become new, heavier elements. Energy is released. Over the time, the light of our students escape the university. They're shining bright across our solar system and beyond, illuminating everything in their path. We are all made of stardust, powered by its energy, and the universe started with just basic elements. Gravity is what made extraordinary things happen. Everything came from that. Bob, I want to thank you for being such a strong center of gravity for all of us. You are transforming lives, and we are all the better for it. Congratulations on being our first ever eCenter champion.
Thanks, Josh, for those wonderfully kind and probably undeserved words. It is really a humbling experience to be up here with these folks. I feel so unworthy compared to the many life-changing and important businesses that they've started. But it really is an honor, and I do really appreciate it. It's interesting, I talked a little bit at the panel earlier about the importance of teamwork when it comes to entrepreneurship. It's a team sport. Sometimes people get individual attention for what they've done, but it really requires great teams. And I've been very blessed in all of my ventures to have great teams to work with, and people, some of whom I've worked with for more than 30 years in a number of different ventures. But great teams are not just the individuals you work with, they're also the people that support you. And I've been so blessed to have my wife, Sherry, who's here today as my partner. We were laughing as we came over here. It was 50 years ago that I first set foot on this campus, and it was 50 years ago that I met Sherry. And in fact, we spent a lot of time. She was not a UNH. She's not a Wildcat. She's actually, and I'm not sure what Plymouth and Keene are, but she's a Plymouth and Keene grad. So between us, we cover the entire university system. But she's been a terrific, an important part of what I've done. I think, as David and others spoke about, we tend to get absorbed in these ventures, and having a great partner to help keep us grounded and make sure that we are making decisions that work, and really helping us raise families and find the right ways to approach life is really critical. And I wanted to say thank you, because it wouldn't be possible without you, to Sherry. Josh asked me to take a little bit different tact, and that is not so much talking about a world problem. I don't think I'm smart enough to solve the world's problems, especially today, but to talk a little bit more about why the E-Center has been so important to me. And so let me give you just a little briefing on how I came across the E-Center. About probably 8 years ago, I had the opportunity to spend a day on campus doing two wonderful things. First, I had been asked to serve as a judge on the Holloway competition, which is a terrific, for those of you that haven't been there, and I know Eric, I think, alluded to it earlier, wonderful competition. And especially 8 years ago, it was really a business plan competition. Mostly all students from the business school who had good ideas, really wonderful ideas, and put together these terrific business plans with graphs and charts and P&L and everything, mostly based on products they had absolutely no idea how to build. So it was great, and they were wonderful, they were brilliant, they were great students. And then in the afternoon, I also had to judge at the undergraduate research conference. And for those of you that haven't been to the undergraduate research conference, I encourage you to take an afternoon and go walk the floor at the WIT when that's going on, and you will see stuff that will just be amazing in terms of what the students are doing. And so there were this big groups of, I happened to be judging mechanical engineering that year, and there were all these mechanical engineering students working in groups, and they had these product ideas, and they'd built things, and they struggled, and they'd got them working, and they were competing, and they had no idea that any of them could actually be products and be commercialized. And I think Mark Saddam, who's here, and I probably had a conversation around that time about it, and I was probably complaining a bit about the fact that why can't we just bring these groups together? Why isn't there a place where these folks, these students, can come together and figure it out? And maybe it's never going to be a business. I mean, we all know, we've all started businesses, we've all had our successes and failures. It may or may not be a business, but the lessons learned from doing that and the experience of doing that, most of us, I know I never had a chance to do that when I was a student here, and in fact, even to get any kind of experiential learning, I had to go out to Argonne National Lab for a semester to get that experience. And so with insights and vision from Mark, who's here tonight, and the hard work of Ian and others who've come along, and Josh today, we have today an E-Center. And so why is it so important? Why is it so important? Well, I've spent most of my 45-year career applying technology to help make companies more efficient, bottom line. And the first half of my career, because my background was in engineering and physical sciences and math, was really in the manufacturing and engineering space. And we did some amazing things. The wing structures in a 777 were designed with software that we put together. Before the 777, Boeing had several hundred designers, because each individual spar in a wing is individually designed. And we automated that process. And 3 engineers designed all those spar structures. And beyond that, we worked in manufacturing. And the result of that was that business became more profitable, more successful. They were able to do more. But the reality was that, frankly, a lot of people didn't have jobs anymore, because the kind of jobs that they had could be automated successfully. And that was hard, and we're suffering from some of that today because it required reskilling. Some of the reskilling was not done well, and it's a challenge that we're still living with. And we've worked through some of it, but if you think of the number of people it takes to build a car today compared to what it did even 15 years ago, it's much smaller. And so that's not a bad thing. It's important. It's progress. It's movement forward. But it's a challenge. And not having the skills that allow you to adapt to those changes is critical. Well, the second half of my career has really been focused in a different area, more in services than production and manufacturing. And it's been much slower in services in terms of the ability of technology to automate things and really streamline things. But that's changing. It's funny, artificial intelligence is in the news everywhere today in ChatGPT. I'm sure most of the students are very familiar with it. But I've been working in that area for 40 years. And the reality is that while, what is different today? Well, it isn't really algorithms because, frankly, Paul Naheen was teaching pattern recognition here, as I mentioned earlier, 50 years ago when I was a student. What's different is most of the world's information, the images, are electronic. They're available. They're out there. Now, some of it's bad, some of it's good, but it's kind of out there. And computers are pretty fast and pretty good at sucking in all that information and trying to figure out how to do something with it. And the notion of generative AI, just another step in the evolutionary path of artificial intelligence, takes that information and takes those computers and does stuff that's pretty efficient in automating the service industry. For those of you that are interested in being a paralegal, those are going to be lesser and lesser jobs because, quite frankly, it's routine. It relies on information that's commonly available, and it doesn't really require a lot of innovation to get the job done. Those jobs are going to go away. And unfortunately, for a lot of entry-level college students, those were the jobs. So why does that matter? What does that have to do with the e-center? What people will need is the ability to innovate. Successful skills will rely on not just the knowledge that you gather in a classroom, but how you can use that knowledge effectively. One of my fellow board members, Joel Berman, likes to talk about the fact that the e-center is a place where students get success skills and learn how to be successful. And how do you learn how to be successful? You've heard a little bit of it here tonight. Some of it is by failing, trying things, taking risks, trying it out. When it doesn't work, what do? You problem solve, you pivot, you move to something different, you take a different approach, a different path. And the wonderful thing about the e-center is the kinds of skills you need to do that, the communication skills, collaboration, personal discovery, understanding who you are, what you're good at, what you need help with, asking for help. Writing an email to someone you don't know that actually asked for something and has a chance of getting a response. These are the kinds of things that the program at the e-center, all of the programs have really been providing. And frankly, why I feel it's so important to have an opportunity for students to come in a place like the e-center and get the mentoring. Not just the mentoring from old folks like me who have experience, but the mentoring that they get from each other. By leveraging their differences, their different journeys, their different paths, their different thought processes, but coming together to figure out how to solve a problem, and a hard problem, and frankly, failing in an environment where they can actually learn from it and not be punished. Let's face it, failure in academia, failure in school is not a good thing. If you brought an F home on your report card, your parents weren't happy, you probably weren't happy either. But failure is part of the learning process. And having a place like the e-center where people from various groups, from various viewpoints, from various educational opportunities come together and learn how to work together and develop those success skills is really critical. And that's one of the reasons that I've been so passionate about the center and what it brings to the broader UNH community. So the one ask I have of everyone here and for people that know me and are around me all the time, they hear this ask a lot, is to join me to really encourage the university to treat the e-center as a truly strategic effort of great importance and urgency. I do worry a lot that over the next several years, without the kind of skills that the e-center provides, and this is not to diminish the educational opportunity here at the university, which is terrific and amazing, and you've heard some about it. We've seen great examples of it. The students are wonderful examples of it. But those additional success skills are so important, and finding a way to give that opportunity to as many students as possible is really key. And the e-center, I believe, that is really, as a center of innovation, can really be very helpful for that. And I ask for all of you to just provide your support, offer your time, offer your treasure, whatever it cares, to help us make that e-center available to more students so we get the kind of successes we really deserve. A disturbing study, in fact, Jim and I were talking about this over breakfast the other day. A disturbing study I read recently said that about 5 years ago, when surveyed in the United States, more than 50%, 52 or 3% of people said that a four-year degree was very important. And we all know the numbers. I mean, the earning income, the earning potential, the ability to be adaptive in an environment that's changing very rapidly all depend on that. But today, in a most recent survey, only 37% of people said that it was very important. And that, overcoming that is a psychological problem that we have to deal with. But I think the kind of students we talk to today, with the kind of success skills that they're getting from the environment here, with the kind of education they're getting from UNH, is a dramatic proof point that this kind of education is critical and important, particularly in an environment that's changing as quickly as we're seeing it, and where jobs are going to change very dramatically, as they have already in manufacturing and farming and other areas, in the services area where a lot of the jobs live today. So again, thank you again for this recognition, and I really do appreciate the honor.